Flight 291 is now boarding.
I would say that study abroad has the advantage over just singular travel of being an easing into the transition of another culture, because you have people with whom you can share the experience.
One of the things we do in our study abroad is we break away those four walls, and the classroom is the encounter that we have overseas.
Luego el tiempo, aquel momento en que mi mundo se paraba entre tus labios.
I want you to really open up to a really rich experience, and again, not think of these things as alien. It's so easy to just go through a museum like that, not really seeing anything. Vienna is not a different country than you, it is you. So I want you to really open up to these kinds of experiences. I want you to really absorb. But I want you to really open up. Vienna is not a different country than you, it is you.
His words gave me some perspective on why we're here, that I shouldn't isolate myself from this culture that I'm in the midst of. As a member of the human race, I share in the expressions of creativity I am witnessing all around me. I only wish I could contribute something as great. Like being released from a cage, we then dashed over to the museum.
It was called the Battle of Three Emperors because there were three emperors present on the battlefield. That day, Napoleon, and then the Russian emperor, and then the Austrian. Even at one point, he sent a spy over to the Russians to negotiate peace with them and try to find out what their plan was, and the Russians kind of realized this, so they sent their spy over. You attack first, and you come in over here, and this was the first wave of attack from the Austrians. It was great because the ground had certain cracks that I could use as rivers, and because it's really hard to explain military strategy if you don't know what the area looks like. And by the end of it, there was a very clear French victory. He saved his country, which is going through some sort of economic problem at the time. And it also was great military strategy. It was like one of the landmarks of military strategy. So
having the presentations is really good because, or at least most of them, have something to do with what we're seeing. And so you can appreciate it a lot better than if you just looked at the church and said, well, that's pretty, I wonder what that is, or not even thinking about there's a significance to that column or that angel or whatever. You just think it's a pretty sculpture. So I like the presentations personally.
I definitely learned a lot more this way, because normally in a classroom I would have just put up a bunch of maps on a PowerPoint and have shown people kind of how the armies move from one place to another. I probably wouldn't have gotten as good of a response as I did. I think if presentations were done like this more often, it would be a lot more entertaining for everybody.
We emerged from the subway station and stepped into the shadow of the stunning Stephansdom, the heart of Vienna.
Yeah, there's a picture of it. See? Is it 1831? Did you go and see this?
Not yet.
It's right around there. It's really beautiful.
I've never been in such a huge church.
And you're going from really the hell of your existence into this portal of the divine.
As we were coming out, it was right next to me, and I was just awestruck. I've never seen anything so beautiful.
The walls were really thick and heavy, and so they were darker, narrower. They would have a clarity across the top that would allow a little bit of light in through the nave. But that meant that a lot of the architecture, the sculpture rather, was on the exterior rather than the interior.
Never before had I seen such an amazing cathedral. The rose windows, the spires reaching towards the heavens, the yawning arches were all inspiring.
You don't know whether to look to the walls, to the ceiling. You don't know where to pay attention because everywhere there's a detail that probably took years to make.
The light that came through the stained glass was able to give this divine presence.
If the designers of this cathedral intended light to symbolize God, they accomplished their goal. If this site amazes me, a person who lives in an industrialized society with IMAX theaters for entertainment, then I can only imagine how it impressed the people who traveled here from the countryside in the Middle Ages.
It's probably impossible to capture the original effect that this cathedral was meant to have, because it was this great edifying religious experience, but then now it's become kind of a monument to, if not a dead idea, to a really old idea. I was actually moved, and simultaneously a little bit dulled at points, but that's usually what happens when you have these very high moments. There's usually a fall. In the catacombs. Catacombs was a huge memento mori. It was just this, hey, remember death.
There were tombs of the bishops and coffins behind grates in niches of the walls.
And I was emotionally moved by the efforts of so many people to preserve themselves. Although it lasts, it doesn't preserve them as people.
Here were just piles of bones and rotted coffins. Some of the rooms were just filled with stacks of skeletons that had been organized neatly by prisoners to make room for more coffins.
And that kind of contrasted with that invincibility that I see all around me here, that people believe in themselves as really the be-all and end-all. We are here now, and we really don't think too much about the people before us, whereas over there was a constant reminder of death. There was a constant reminder of the culture and that they stemmed from that. And it emotionally moved me in a way that I didn't expect to be moved, and that I didn't realize I could be moved in that sort of way. And so I think it was both painful and uplifting at the same time to look at.
The Mozart Museum gave life to the great composer. I heard stories about him from his everyday life, like him admiring a woman's elegant robe at a ball. Apparently, he was quite a metro.
They said he never made any mistakes when he wrote. There was never any crossing outs or erase marks or anything. Everything was just perfect as he wrote it. His life was very full of friends all the time, and he was just always happy and playing games and having parties and having people over in and out all the time.